Anil Rego, founder and CEO of Right Horizons, joins us right now on the show to talk about his sense of how the markets are shaping up. Anil, good having you. Thanks so much for joining in. The question mark really, Anil, is that the last 2 days, there's semblance of strength that we've seen. Currency is just about holding on to those 54.60, 54.80 kind of levels. What do you think happens to the markets? Led by State Bank of India, you think there could be a brief up move? Or do you believe that we're still headed for close to those December lows?
Sure, I think the last time I gave reasonably negative outlook,
right.
I think that happened on the markets. But I think from here, markets typically, stop at certain levels, consolidate, and then, the next move unfolds. So I would think from here for short-term investors, maybe, one can stay on, one can even invest a little bit. But again, I would like clarity in terms of how the global market outlook pans out, and only then look at a longer-term perspective.
Anil, morning. Just to talk about some specific stocks related to the earnings that have come out. State Bank of India, of course, Neeraj already spoke about, but at Tata Steel as well, we've got the counter reacting to those disappointing numbers today. So given, the correction that we've witnessed for a Tata Steel and also the current valuations that it's trading at, would someone who's looking at, say, a 6 to 12-month horizon or even further on, it would be a good time to probably pick up a name like Tata Steel at this time?
No, I would probably, wait on for some more time because the global economy is not necessarily showing strength, and there are concerns in terms of Europe. So I would, stocks like this, which are metals and, completely linked to how the global economy pans out, I would wait for some more time, see some clarity, and only then get into stocks like these. And keep in mind that Tata Steel also has a lot of non-India exposure, and a lot to the global European and markets as well. So we'll probably be a little cautious at this point.
Anil, are there contra calls that you're taking right now? Because as you said, or probably as the opinion has been on the channel for the last 3 or 4 days, it's divided right down the middle, with a lot of people believing that we are headed for newer lows, whereas the view of the chartist is that for the near term, we might be headed higher. Given that scenario, are you taking any contra calls on the markets, be it buying some distressed names with a 1-year perspective, or buying some highly valued companies with the belief that the growth will continue in those?
See, I think 2 places where I would bet my money. One is possibly on defensive large cap stocks. So those in the FMCG sectors is something that you can consider. I think one which is a little one is unsure about is the IT. Where I think, global economy, it would depend a lot on that. At the same time, it benefits from the rupee. So from the standpoint at this time, possibly, I think one of the contra calls can even be on IT, right, for a very short-term perspective. I think the other place that we like at this point of time is dividend yield names. So one could look at, if one even looks at, let's say, the banking sector, for example, Corporation Bank. I think names like that are worth looking at. Basically, dividend yield stocks in volatile markets do much better, so we'll probably look at some of them.
Right. So, Anil, you did mention in terms of the sectors, at least the FMCG basket, select IT names as well. So if you could highlight, some of the counters, the likes of an HUL, or if you talk about a Godrej Consumer, these counters are trading close to year highs or all-time highs. You still think on a fundamental basis they present good value at this point in time? And in the IT basket, is there any specific sector that you've identified, the mid caps, the large caps? What would you be betting on?
So I'll still be looking at large caps. So basically on FMCG, I would look at something like an ITC, which had run up a little bit and come back. So one could probably look at ITC. At times like these, they possibly look closer to all-time highs, and I think that's how the market also will bring in money into these sectors which are defensive. So I don't see that as a surprise. IT, I would possibly look at 2 names. One is TCS being very stable and consistent, and if one wants to take a contra call, then possibly an Infosys, because it has corrected well, and if one would need to see whether this quarter pans out the same way. But I believe that some benefits of a bad quarter will, come and get pushed into this quarter. So possibly Infosys is one name which one can look at. But again, I'm saying, you should not put large sums of money at this point of the market.
Okay, last but not the least, financials aside of State Bank of India, a couple of others have been in news, Anil, recently. HDFC, that whole MSI confusion and the stock got hammered, recovered back. A couple of other banking names have found favor as well. Are you buying any particular financial stock? I mean, leave aside SBI, that we've discussed to death today. What about anything else in that space, banking or non-banking?
Sure, I think HDFC is a name that I like. It's also a defensive name. And if you look at, in very volatile and negative market conditions, HDFC does relatively much better than the index. So I think HDFC is a name that I would like. I have been liking ICICI Bank. I think a lot of work has been done, restructuring, getting back into profitability, higher profitability, focus on margins. The whole core business and all the parameters I think are looking strong. So ICICI is another name that one can look at possibly on buying on, falls.